It's Justin Dawson. It's the All Things Techie podcast. We're following on from doing some interviews with different companies post-ISE. We had so many pre-ISE, now we're doing post-ISE, and founded in 1992 by 3 employees. I love this description of this company. 3 employees of IBM who are happy to shed their dark suits and red ties. Just Add Power is dedicated to doing a little bit differently. Instead of being consigned to the dustbin by planned obsolescence, the company's high-quality AV-over-IP distribution solutions increase in value over time by offering new devices that are compatible with previous systems and providing free, I love the word free firmware updates when innovations break. Just Add Power respects the end user's investment in their systems. We are delighted to have the CEO and founder of Just Add Power, Ed Qualls, here. Ed, welcome along to the program.
Thank you, Justin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us a bit about yourself. You know, I always love to start off by saying, how did you get involved in the world of AV? I know you say you're IBM, so you went from the tech world of IT into Just Add Power.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm just someone who likes to play with the toys. And
we all love to play with toys.
Involved with theater productions at the schools and at the churches, you had to get your hands on the AV gear. So I got plenty of hands-on practical experience. And when I saw how the worlds could play together, I just said, yeah, it makes sense. Let's do it.
Now, the world was a lot different back in 1992 when you probably started Just Add Power.
Yeah, we were more of an analog world back then, VGA graphics, and happy to find stereo audio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you remember those old VGA cables with the little stereo 3.5 plug-in on the side? Yeah. So you've been doing a lot since. I have to admire your website. Very easy, very user friendly to navigate on with Just Add Power. That it's video over IP. You just get your transmitter, you can get your receiver, you can use a network switch, and away you go. Aiming at, like, I always thought, like, as an AV guy and even a tech guy, I always had this query of, like, how does hotels work? Where, you know, you can select a load of channels and so forth, but watching your videos on Just Add Power just makes sense now.
Yeah. Well, you know, that was one of our goals when we realized what made sense to an IT guy was threatening to an AV guy. How can we bridge to them and give them an easy way to move into it at the pace that feels comfortable for them?
Yeah, because that you just answered a question that's probably dawned the AV world and social media for a long time. Is AV IT AV? It's completely separate, I guess, in your mind.
Yeah.
there's no in between. Thank you. At least I have someone that agrees with me. Like, I'm a sound guy. I'm good with sound. Networking, not as good. So that's where some of your products come in. Doing Just Add Power. You had some great new toys at ISE. So, founded 30 years ago and strengthening Just Add Power's VLAN and multicast switching protocol, TP-Link has joined forces with you, and you're offering more on the TP network switches. Tell us more.
Yes, we had TP-Link reached out to us and said they had lots of their customers who wanted to be able to use Just Add Power on their switch products. And we gladly worked with them. They sent us samples. We pointed out to them where the switch wasn't performing adequately or was missing functionality. And they stepped to the plate and did everything that was necessary to make it be a top level performer right up there with all the other switches we recommend as best choices.
Now, I love your simplicity of your videos of how a network can work to just get so many different streams. Like, even if we use the example of like TV broadcasts and TV channels in a hotel, you're talking about just taking the feeds, putting it into just one transmitter, is it? And then for each room, you would have to have a receiver with the network switch, of course.
Yeah, that's a very simple description of our product. You need a receiver for every TV and a transmitter for every source, and the network in between with a little bit of smarts to route things in the right direction.
Now, yeah, of course, when with the smart, like, do you have your own version of a software behind your just that power to route everything?
We offer a software control option for that works on Windows or Mac for people who don't have a control system in mind. But a lot of the installers out there are passionate about a control system that they're able to leverage for their business. And we've, as far as I know, support every control system on the planet.
Now, also, you were brought a couple of new products, including the new 4K 60 MaxColor Series 2. Tell us a bit more about these new products.
Okay, well, last year at ISE, we launched the MaxColor series, which handles that high-end 4K 60 444 video standard. I sort of like to call it the unicorn at times because it's beautiful, but it's hard to find one. It's to find a video content at that level is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But when you can find it or generate with a computer, we're now able to support that. And we did have some higher end medical applications or some sports historical groups who really know that they need as much detail and data for future. So we stepped up to the plate. And then we had people say, that's great, Ed, but we also want to be able to do KVM over IP on it. Or can you hook to a fiber optic switch? So that's what we did with Max 2, which was added USB over IP support and fiber connections, but it's still compatible with the MaxColor 1. And we're going to come out with more MaxColor products this over the years. I've got a whole roadmap of all the things we want to add, but they will all play together and never leave anyone behind.
Well, and that's the key thing, not leaving one behind. You talk about and very much so on your website that you work with everyone. You work with all the different control panels. But I like the fact that as an end user, you might not even need the control panel like the Crestrons, like the Kramers, like the TP. Like, so you could pretty much use software if you wanted to route
Yeah, we
channels.
offer a few software operations that'll let you use your mobile device or a laptop to control your AV network.
Which is super, because I say the popularity of your product. It's the fact that we know in the AV industry, the big guns, the Crestrons, etc. There's been supply chain issues all the time. So, like, if I was working in higher ed, for example, and trying to route stuff, a lot of the time I'm being told, okay, I need a Crestron NVX in each room, sending and receiving, but they're not in stock. you guys can be the in between for these routing type of scenarios.
Yeah, we have gotten through the chip shortage, and I have to say it was entirely due to my greed. I learned a long time ago that when you buy chips, if you buy more, they give you a better price.
That's a good lesson to learn, and I'm guessing that comes from an IT guy that's been in the business for years and years.
Right, and then I looked at it from the perspective of I've designed something and the chips don't go bad on the shelf. So it doesn't matter if I have a 2-year supply or a 3-year supply of a certain chip on the shelf, it's not going to go bad. And literally you can cut your savings in half or more. It can be a major impact on your operation, maintaining profitability. So my business acumen said, buy low and get as many as you can. And then when the COVID kicked in, it's like, oh, I've got all the chips.
Well, I always say that, like, the between chips and webcams was the two things that you could really have made a lot of money on during the COVID crisis. So, like, I just love the implementation that you have, even on your website, how simple it is, because a lot of end users will go, what do I need? Like, surely this is going to take a lot of hardware to get things done. And even your image on your website is just the source, the transmitter, the switch, the receiver, and the display. it's that straightforward.
That's really all there is to it.
Now the great thing is you offer a lot of support and training as well, on your site. Compared to your competitors, we don't need to name your competitors again, where you if you're looking for training, it's nearly like you have to know the Masonic handshake to get onto training courses. You're offering this online and in office and free of charge.
Yes, we have a lot of online offerings that are both, some of them are like video-based tutorials, and others are more written material to work through projects. Our class in Florida in our headquarters is always a popular item to get people in there. And we just this last month introduced a mobile training option where we sent a trainer out with a full classroom set of equipment to Phoenix, Arizona. The whole day training out there.
Oh wow, fantastic!
He's going to be in Texas.
That's fantastic. Do you reach out to a lot of higher ed, or what's your main target audience?
Well, that's always a challenge because we don't know where 90% of the product we've built has landed.
Really? Wow.
The installers and dealers are very hush hush. They like to keep their client list quiet. But every now and then, like, we'll get a phone call for support from someone like, Disney or Universal Studios or
drop the big names.
Stadium.
Okay, drop the big names there, Ed. Yeah. Disney and so forth. Yeah.
Well, it's not. That's the truth.
It is the truth. Of course. Yeah. Like, I have to laugh. Like the shape of the box. If I see that picture as a graphic, I would always think of your competitors. But the fact is, as an end user, people don't care what type of box it is so long as it does the job intended. And what I always ask this question amongst CEOs and founders: what is a case study that you've done with Just Add Power that you just went, wow? I know you mentioned Disney there before, but is there anyone that really stands out in your mind?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, one of the most just blow your mind implementations that you wouldn't think of was the Australian Navy's search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370.
Wow, you guys were involved in that?
Yes, the submersible on that with the cameras and everything was remotely controlled over a 5-mile fiber optic umbilical, and inside the sub were Just Add Power devices controlling the submarine and the cameras and everything.
That is incredible.
And then up on the ship, they had, I think, 8 stations where people could manage different components. 8 different operators could be managing the sub. So, I mean, we own the global market for deep sea submersible, searches for airplanes, but it's not a big market.
but it's still like, I think that is a story to tell people.
But that same text used like in hospitals and where I think it was in Tokyo, where they're using they just had power devices to control the PTC cameras in the operating rooms, to where one surgeon can be consulting with 4 or 5 operating rooms at the same time.
Wow, that again, incredible. And I love those type of case uses for AV where you're talking about recovery and where you're talking about health issues that like people helping people is a great, like we all see and hear about in AV press releases and magazines about the Disneys and so forth, and look at what these different companies have done. But those are real stories to tell, and very impressive as well. So if someone wanted to start off, what would be the basic starter pack? It is just the transmitter and the receiver. You do also say in your training that you need to get a couple of bits of components, and then you can do the remote course as well.
Yes, and we offer actually a kit that can for training, where they can borrow it for like a month, and it goes along with the classes and has all the pieces they need in there, other than their own TVs and sources.
And of course, you have UK and Ireland distributors. I've always wondered like where would be the nearest distributor for Just Add Power. So you're based in UK and Ireland as well.
Yeah. We have a stocking warehouse in Malvern, and also in Europe, out of Germany. PureLink has a stocking warehouse there too. So we have lots of product right there on your side of the pond.
Now, I say it's the answer is probably it depends what you're trying to stream, but how good of a switch do you need to have, or do you favor certain switches with just add power, or kind of work across any switch?
Well, almost any switch can do something,
Mhm.
but if you're wanting to do a whole lot of things very quickly, the weaker or less intelligent switches will bog down, and suddenly the video will just not work. That's where when we move in what they call, the layer 3 or smart switches or managed switches, they've got the capacity to segment the traffic and keep everything flowing smoothly. They have more bandwidth.
I, I, I,
So
I like that. I'm actually looking at a picture of one of your 3G AVP rack mountable transmitter, and like it's neat. It's about probably only one U, is it?
it's one U, and that's 3 sources. We also have a one U that's 4 sources.
So literally, you can. It's four inputs, and then of course with the network you can stream it out as many places and destinations as you want with the AV over IP.
Right, and it lets you lock it down cleanly in the rack.
It's a beautiful system. So I have to always ask, and of course we can sign NDAs later on, Ed, but I guess with Infocom just around the corner now after ISE, have you any new toys that's coming out for Infocom that wasn't at ISE?
Yeah, we talked about this at ISE, what was coming next. For the MaxColor world, we're going to have a integrated tiler. That way they can watch 4 things at once on one screen or more, or in rearrange and customize the tiles and everything. So,
and that will work off the same type of systems. Is that going to be software based, or is it more?
well, it's hardware based. It'll be just like the 3G tiler.
Mhm.
It'll just be something for the MaxColor world.
Wow, yeah, I really like these products. But you also do video walls. So would you would need a couple of these 3G to
Well, yeah, video walls built into all of our receivers. That's just every one of them can be a video wall device.
that's incredible. If people want to find out more about just add power, apart from you say you have UK and Ireland offices, you have offices around the globe. Where's the best place to find out about?
Well, justaddpower.com would be a good place to start.
I have to say, an excellent site with how it works. Like a lot of companies don't actually put the basic information there, how it works for the end user to just go, all right, okay, I get this. You know, like especially when I was over at ISE, there was a lot of new visual broadcasts, XR reality, TV studios was a big thing at ISE. But sometimes I just want to go, I want to see behind the hood. I want to see actually how this actually works, rather than blowing my mind with the LEDs.
Well, I want to get my hand on some of those see-through clear displays.
Yes. Is that something that really blew your mind at?
I'm intrigued by that, yeah.
Yeah. Did you even get time to go around all the booths, Ed?
No, luckily from the entrance to my booth, that was along the path.
I think a lot of people said the exact same thing. Like and also, and I know I was talking to Peter at ISE as well. Your throat dries up. Like I don't know, was that's my first year in Barcelona. I had been in Amsterdam and the Rai previously before COVID, but I just found that like it was a very dry hold, and my God, you lose your voice after day one.
Next year, try more sangria.
That might work too. That might work too. Ed, I really appreciate you spending some time and talking to me about Just Add Power. I think it's a great product. I think I actually could find similar uses for things in my higher ed, especially when there's a shortage of demand or a shortage of stock with your competitors. This really could get around some scenarios that we have.
And it's hard to distinguish competitors from collaborators because some of the big companies are telling their people, if you need video, go with Just Add Power.
Yeah, and the fact that you're working across all the major control panels and touchpads, you know, it makes sense that you can integrate this in, especially when it's AV over IP.
Yep.
If people want to reach out to you, it's as justaddpowers.com is the main site, but I'm guessing you also are available for people to ask questions to as well.
Well, if anyone looks at our website, it's real easy to figure out everyone's email address, and I'm Ed at justaddpower.com.